We're joined today with Barrie. Barrie, how you doing, sir?
Good morning, guys. Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Barrie, I saw that we had ping on, and I'll be honest with you. My first thing was, I'm getting me a new set of golf clubs.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm pumped up. I'm saying, I got some golf clubs.
A set of pings. It'll work.
I'm gonna work me out some new pings into this in some form. But hey, Barrie, that's not at all what your ping is. Tell us a little bit about your company.
Yeah, so ping is the sound that your phone makes when you get a message, right? And what happens is you get a surge of dopamine to the brain saying someone needs something from you right now. And that's distraction. Even if you don't look at your phone, you're cognitively distracted. Your brain is now thinking about the phone and the message and who it could be, and not the road. And so when we started thinking about the concept of how do we solve distraction on the roads, we really thought about it from the human perspective, not from the fleet perspective. What is it that the driver needs to eliminate that distraction, that cognitive distraction? And in commercial vehicles, there's no CarPlay, there's no Android Auto. Whereas in a Toyota Corolla, you get CarPlay and it reads your text to you. It doesn't do it very well, but there is a way for you to get your texts. And when you think about trucking as the lifeblood of our economy, these guys and girls are on the roads for hours at a time, and their phone is pinging, it's buzzing. And it could be a text from the kid saying, hey, Dad, I hit a home run today, or hey, Mom, I got an A+ in my test today. You said it just earlier, we're all humans. We have emotions. And the average person looks at their phone 150 times a day, except they're not allowed to do it when they're driving. And so really what we did was build some technology to keep people safely connected to those incoming messages, just the important ones, not the spam and the everyday emails that go out to millions of people, just the messages that could potentially change your day or even change your trip. And so our technology is a voice platform, an app that reads those messages out loud to you.
And what brought you to this concept, this deal? What brought you to this technology? What made you want to do this?
So it's interesting. It was a little bit of personal need, but my business partner and I, who'd run a previous software company together, were both finding ourselves checking our devices, even with kids in the back seat. And the phone would buzz and you'd kind of just glance down. And if it was a message that was work related or family related, we'd probably spend an extra 2 to 4 seconds looking at it. And while doing that, the car was driving itself for a couple of 100 yards without us being in control of the vehicle. And so we started looking for technology out there that could solve this problem for us. And the more aware we became of our own problem, the more aware we became of people outside of our vehicle doing the same thing. And when we do the research in the trucking sphere, there are no fender benders. When an 18-wheeler has a crash, there are serious injuries, often fatalities, and huge costs involved. And when we went down to Washington, D.C. and met with NHTSA, we found out that the cost of distracted driving to the U.S. economy is $129 billion a year. And nobody's doing anything meaningful about it. They're putting billboards up on the side of the highway saying, don't text and drive. Well, that's not gonna work. So being a 5-time entrepreneur, I said, this needs to be fixed with a technology solution, a tech solution for a tech problem. And that's where we started in 2016.
I love that part, and you bring up being a 5-time entrepreneur. When we do that entrepreneurship, and you out there that are doing these, you know, that's the lifeblood, I believe, of this country too, because with it comes, it's not just a job, right? It's passion, and behind this technology, there's passion out there to really make a difference in this industry, you know, from this distracted driving. That's just crazy right now when you think about the cell phones, you know, and it's not just the phones, the technology. We talk about it here all the time on BCB Live. It's what's going on at home. It's life that can be a distraction as well. And your technology gives us that opportunity to not take our eyes off the road, right? But to hear that message. And I got a question for you on that, because I heard you say that. Is it robotic? Does it have some emotion behind that when it's reading that text?
Does it have your accent?
So we actually use the phone's voice technology, and they're getting better every time. So whether you have a Samsung or a Pixel or an iPhone, there are usually between 40 and 50 different accents and voices that you can choose from. It's not the old robotic voice. So yes, you could choose an accent like mine. I don't know that you would want to, but yeah.
I like that.
There's no Homer Simpson and there's no Morgan Freeman, unfortunately, yet.
There's no Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a good.
Yeah, not yet. So when it reads those, and you bring up the the spam, it doesn't read the spam. How does it identify?
Yeah.
How does it know to so like this right here? Is there a setting that says, hey, my girlfriend's in the car, is in the truck with me today. Don't read messages from my wife or anything like that.
You are 100% correct. There is such a setting. We call it read aloud and announce. So announce tells you that you have a new message, but doesn't read the message. So it says, you have a new message from John Smith. Hopefully that's the name of your girlfriend in your phone. Or it'll, if you're in read mode, it'll read everything, the full message. In the case of an email, you can set up parameters like just read me the first 30 seconds of the email. After that, I pretty much know what it's going to tell me. There are even auto replies, and the auto reply goes towards reducing FOMO, the fear of missing out, right? So FOMO happens on both sides of the message. You get a message, and now you know you're not allowed to look at it because it's illegal. But also the person that sent you the message is wondering why you haven't replied. So the auto reply says, hey, I've listened to your message, but I'm driving. I'll reply when it's safe to do so. And now nobody's expecting an immediate reply, which is great. And you can change that up to whatever you want.
Yeah, when you think about that, because that's true, right? That fear of missing out. You gotta, you want to make sure if you sent the message that they read it, and again, when you read a message, they get it back. What about the reply on that? Is that can you reply while you're doing that? Is it a listen only?
So there's a lot of research around voice to text. And if you've ever tried to use voice to text on your own phone and you're speaking to Siri or Google Assistant, 9 times out of 10, that message gets pretty messed up anyway. Yes. And now when your phone's on the other side of the dashboard and you're kind of leaning in to get the message across, the likelihood of it being an accurate message is pretty poor. So we deliberately took the decision not to embed voice-to-text replies into our technology. It doesn't prevent you from using your phone's own voice assistant, Siri, Bixby, Google Assistant, so that when the message comes out as garbage, you can blame your phone and not the Ping app. But we also looked at it from the cognitive perspective. When you start dictating a message and you lean into that invisible microphone somewhere on the dashboard, your brain is no longer driving that vehicle. So the automated reply that says, I'm driving, I'll reply when it's safe to do so, is the first version. We have 4 commands that you can give saying, I'm driving, or I'll get you later, or delete, or pause. Those are the actions that the driver can take, and then call the sender back. That is a significantly safer way to respond than trying to voice a message back.
You're the audience that you're trying to capture, is that the fleet? Is that the independent contractor? Who are you focused on with the software?
Most of the fleet safety technology out there is for the fleet. It's not for the driver. Mm-hmm. And we specifically built this thinking about the amount of time that someone spends behind the wheel, particularly truck drivers. And we've said, this is for you, the driver. This is going to enable you to stay safely connected. And the question that you asked earlier is, can you filter messages? Yes. You select only the message types and the sender or subject that you want to listen to. Everything else you can check when you're parked. This enables.
Go ahead. I almost interrupted you. I didn't mean to.
Okay. So this enables the driver to stay safely connected to family, but also potentially work opportunities. If you get an email or a text saying there's a load going from New Jersey to Indiana, do you want it? And you've already blown by that exit, you've missed the opportunity to make money. So this is for everyone to keep them away from their phones, but also stay in touch so that they're less stressed and they're able to potentially pick up more business.
Well, and is this just restricted to the email and the text messages, or are you developing this into the other apps that are on the phone and other ways that people communicate? Because there's a million ways that people now seem to be able to communicate.
Yeah, so today we have over 50 different message types, from WhatsApp and Slack and Teams and others to push notifications.
Wow.
One of our clients is in the food delivery industry, so think the gig economy, and they have their own driver app similar to an Uber Eats or a DoorDash. And inside that app is a push notification system that sends messages to the driver saying, don't ring the doorbell, the baby's asleep, or the entrance is at the back of the factory. And all of those messages are now being read out loud using our technology so that the driver can focus on the road and the drop-off.
Stuff. Good stuff. And when you think about your software and you think about the amount of nuclear accidents, right? These that we've had in this industry, in our industry, you know, it's out of control. These billion-dollar now lawsuits that are going on, you know, while it can't, it's not gonna. Well, it should, right? I mean, the purpose of this is if you have this, maybe that distraction doesn't occur to where you're not involved in an accident. And when accidents happen today, unfortunately, boy, they're huge. They're hundreds of millions, if not $1 billion, right?
Well, you probably saw that $1 billion verdict that happened in Florida last year against 2 trucking companies, and it was $100 million in damages to the parents of the 18-year-old that was killed, and $900 million in punitive damages against the 2 trucking companies. Now, those damages are designed to put companies out of business. They're not paying the $900 million. They're just gone. You know, whether you're a 4th-generation trucking company or an owner-operator, that level of verdict is shutting the business down altogether. But it's also sending a message to say you cannot drive distracted. You will be, you know, put to the fire. And so, you know, this is exactly the reason that we've built technology, so that it can safely communicate messages in real time without people having the urge or the need to look at their device.
That was and if you want to get this type of technology, where do you go and how do you get there?
Yeah, so we've got 2 versions of the software. One is for fleets. And in addition to enabling the fleet to customize which message types will be read out loud, they also have the option to install driver coaching. Driver coaching gives the driver a score out of 10 on 5 metrics, from speeding to harsh braking to touching their phone and others. And that same level of data can be shared with the fleet manager so they can manage risk safely and effectively. But for the owner operator or the individual, they can just go to the Play Store or the App Store and search for Ping Loud and download the app. We're not in the business of charging a fortune for the software. It's $2 a month. And you know what, is $2 worth your time and safety and making sure that you get home after every trip? I think so.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Barrie, I want your comments on this. I know we're running out of time here, but when we think about the nuclear accidents, what I'm really believe what they're trying to tell the trucking industry is no longer is it okay for you to have a cell phone policy that you just hand out, and when something bad happens, you go, well, we told them not to be on the phone. Right. It's our policy. It's in our handbook here. I think what we're saying is, hey, listen, there's technology out there that you can do more than just have it in your policy book. There are ways that you can put it out there for the drivers to encourage them, or to take that
step.
Yeah, take the extra step, to take that temptation away for them to get on the phone. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you're 100% correct. Right when the pandemic hit and people spent more time on the couch than they wanted to, they spent their time with the phone in their hand. Now you transfer that behavior into the vehicle, and it's almost subconscious. When your phone pings, you grab it, even though you know you shouldn't, or that you forgot that you were driving. And so there needs to be a more proactive approach for corporations and individual drivers. Take responsibility for your own behaviors. Sure. And there is technology out there. So don't put it in a handbook and do nothing about it. Putting it in a handbook is basically telling your insurance company, we have a policy. Nobody's allowed to use their phones. We're all grown-ups here. We know that that doesn't happen. So implement the technology to remove the risk and save more lives.
All right. Hey, Barrie, I want to thank you again for joining the show. One thing we ask all of our guests to do is to announce your name. You can say who you're with, but you got to say this: BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Well, gents, thank you so much for having me. I'm Barrie Arnold from Ping, and it's been a pleasure. Keep it right here, BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right.
Bam. Thank you, Barry. Appreciate
Barry.
you so much. Dave, we continue to see the technology coming, right? We see it from Ping. We've seen it from no-cell technology. Items out there designed just to take away the temptation. And this is not the same as no-cell, right?
No.
This is kind of saying, hey, you know what? You got a message. Let's just automatic play it so you can hear that message.
Yeah, and look, its application makes 100% sense. You don't want to deny your ability to do the delivery type stuff, and you're going to need that information. Hey, don't ring the doorbell. Go around back or whatever. I mean, I think that's imperative. Instead of just turning it off, you're getting the messages as you need them. I think this is great, and also the idea that it can be to any individual or fleets. I mean, I like the idea that the user can just put it in, and I do get to hear an accent when it happens.
I know there's nothing wrong with it. My cell phone is already repeat sat back. You know that part right there. But I will say this to this trucking industry, and it speaks to, I think, the brokers as well, to trucking dispatchers, to truck drivers, to ownership. Everybody, listen. No longer is it just okay to have a policy.
No.
You know what? Not when there's technology out there that can help you. And you've got to just go above and beyond when it comes to safety. When you hear things like this for $2, a month, can that reduce the opportunity for you to?
That sounds awesome.
It's there to, and I get it, right? Everything has a cost to it, but does life have a cost? And I think that's what we're seeing in the lawsuits right there, is that, man, they had that ability to do more than just say it's my policy.